Okay, welcome everyone to the Biblical Basics of Hebrew. This is lesson 2 of the keys to reading Hebrew. And this week we're going to work on some vowels and we're going to work on syllables. So those who are in the class tonight and are able to be personally in the class, please feel free to raise your hand or whatever you need to do, or wave, whatever you need to do to get my attention if you have a question, especially when it comes to vowels. And then by the end of the class today, we're going to learn some more rules, but we're also going to start to learn word fragments. And this is really exciting because once you learn word fragments, then we can start to put things together as the weeks go, and it makes your learning speed up exponentially. So I just like to kind of get some of these good rules down ahead of time, and then it kind of helps when you're going through. Okay, now let me get to the, where's it at? Where did I put the, sorry guys. Where'd the slides go? There we go. Okay. And I think everyone should be able to see the slides pretty well. Yep, thank you. Okay, so here we go. Week 2. Okay, so again, just really quickly, Hebrew's read from right to left. The alphabet, the actual letters, have 22 of them. The Hebrew letters are nearly always pronounced the same. It's possible, I want to keep reminding people, to learn how to read Hebrew without knowing the meanings of the words. So that is how we typically teach Jewish children today. So one of the things is, if you want to know something deeper about what we're doing and I'm not going through it, I remind people, please stop me and ask, because sometimes once I know you've got something or a basic meaning or a basic something, if that's part of it, I don't always go on because I tend to do that later on. Okay, we're doing Sephardic pronunciations. And the reason why I wanted to review that is I just remember, as you branch out to use other sources on YouTube or other ways to learn, no problem. But I was reminded again, there's a couple apps and a couple different places where they have someone who is either fully Ashkenazi or old Ashkenazi from Israel, and the pronunciations get very different. And that is okay. And I say people to mix it up as you get better. But in the beginning, stick with someone, try to find someone who has a clear way of pronouncing things that you can hear. Especially you don't want to listen to anyone right now who's doing tavs or savs instead of tavs. You don't want to listen to anyone who is not pronouncing their chets, stuff like that, just until you get it. Once you get it, then I encourage you to listen to whoever you can learn from. And again, reminding, there's no uppercase or lowercase letters. The only difference in Hebrew is whether you print it or if you cursive it. So go ahead, Donald.
The current prayer books that they use in the chapel or Jewish services, what's the date on those? Because the ones that I have do have the Ashkenazim. They do have the pronunciation of Tav as Sav. So when you do when you do the Kaddish, there's everything is so, even though it's spelled toe. But they do the transliteration as so. So obviously there was a strong influence of Ashkenazim at one time. But now when you mention about the Sephardim, well, the bulk of the population of Israel is Sephardic. So I could see where that would be the case. But I was thinking, I look at some of these characters from the past that are in the news now, like Omert, and these guys are all old Ashkenazim.
Right.
The old communists, the old leftists, the old progressives, they're all Ashkenazim. Whereas the new population, And I'm not thinking of the religious population. I'm just thinking of the new general population for Sephardim.
Exactly. And that's why, like in our synagogue, if you ever come and visit a chapel synagogue, which you are welcome to, in fact, our new books are only were only printed just a few years ago. We're going to a new book called Love Shalem. And we have some older books, but even so, those books have been reprinted in the 90s. And so we have some of the older 80s and some of the 90s. And by that time, they have been starting to eliminate the tavs and savs. So just be careful. Like I said, that's a good example to say, just be careful. If someone gives you a book, it's great, but just make sure you take a look in the beginning, how it's pronouncing things. And if things don't seem right, hang on, show me, take a picture if you want. And I can tell you if it's where we're at or where we're not, because it's really difficult sometimes if you learn it a certain way and then we correct you, then you got to relearn it another way. So I find it's easier, especially when I'm teaching kids, to learn it right the first time. And today, it's not that that's wrong. It's just today we're trying to teach a standard pronunciation. So, okay, so we are going to, let's move on so we can, okay, so that's that. Okay, here's the alphabet. Again, we're almost to the point where I can say if you want to learn the alphabet, you can learn it. But right now, we are still not doing that. But here is the handwriting. The alphabet, your handwriting should look like this if you're trying to print. And on the left side and on the right side of the screen, this is what it looks like if you're actually looking at it in a book. Does not like me today. Okay, now let's work on vowels again. So I'm not sure how many people are struggling with vowels yet. Can you let me know if you still feel like I know. Okay, so that's good to know. Okay. Okay, good. So there's a few of us that are struggling with vowels. Okay, so I'm going to go through this because this is going to make a difference too when we get a little bit further in the chapter. These dots and dashes, okay, you can see right here. Let's see, you can see right here, hopefully my cursor is showing up, the symbols that I'm representing a vowel dot, okay? The dots and dashes are going to make a difference because there will be sometimes and you've already seen a couple, sometimes when they're vowels and sometimes when they're not vowels, okay? So we always, when we talk about vowels and we're just trying to teach vowels, this box again represents where the letter would be. So if this is a mem, this would be the dot to make it O. And if this is an X here, that could represent anything. So say that was a lamed, and this is the dot to make it O would be an L. So whenever you see a box like this, just remember that would represent what a real letter would be. And then this is where we put the vowels. So just trying to remember that. Now, a couple of things we need to know. Vowels never stand alone, okay? They're always a combination of dots and dashes, and I call it a T, but it's really a tiny little T symbol sort of that goes underneath the letter, and that makes an A sound. We'll talk about that. But vowels never stand alone. You'll never find a dot with nothing next to it. It may look like there's nothing there, but there is. So that's one of the first words rules you need to know. Okay, never stands alone. Okay, so again, where can vowels be found? Okay, and vowels can be found in 4 places. Okay, so let's start from right to left like we read in Hebrew. The vowel can be found underneath the letter. Okay, so that is one of the most common places, is underneath the letter. Many vowels are found underneath the letter. It can be found next to the letter, near a helper letter. And this is one way where you may think, oh, there is no vowel here in this box here. But it's because the vowel is with a helper letter next door. So all these together, and that's something that's really important to know. Okay, all of these together, this letter, say we had a lamed in here, okay? This vav and this dot that makes an O sound, the olam vav, that would say low. Okay, all these would be one sound. Okay, and that is the harder part with the helper vowels, is knowing that if you see a letter that doesn't have a dot under it, it doesn't have a dot where in these other places, is there a helper letter next to it? Because there has to be, except for the end of the word, there has to be some kind of a vowel with every single letter. Okay, does everyone understand that? There's never, except for at the end of the word, there's no standalone vowels. Okay, good. Okay, now remember, the dot can be in the middle of the letter. So it can be like in the stomach of the letter, I like to call it. This is the overhead one. This is the stomach. Here's the overhead one. At the last one, here's the stomach. So vowels can be literally on top, in the middle, on top of a helper, and underneath. And notice they're all on the left side. There's never a vowel in front of the letter. And that is because in Hebrew, words start, they're either, we're going to learn this tonight, consonant vowel or consonant vowel consonant. There's one exception because there's always exceptions in Hebrew, and that's the end of the word where there could be a consonant vowel consonant consonant, but that's very rare. So there can never be a vowel in front of the letter because you would never know where the word starts. And especially in Hebrew, because remember, if we're reading old books or Torahs, or just even going in Israel today and reading a sign, there's no they're making punctuation. They're making punctuation, but in a lot of places, they still don't use a lot of punctuation because they don't need it. Okay. Does anyone have any question on where vowels are found?
Pretty much everywhere.
Okay, yes, but no. And this is why it's really important, because we're going to start to learn about diacritical marks. Okay. And that's just the fancy name for some of these other marks. And the problem is let's look. Can you guys see where I'm pointing? I'm kind of by the olam vav. I don't know if you can see. It's hard to see. But okay, if you have the olam vav here, sometimes I try to make my cursor bigger, but it doesn't like to be bigger. Hold on. You may find a mark that's let's see, look at this one where the arrow is at the very right. You might find a mark on the inside, or the left, sorry, with the arrow. You might find a mark at the very beginning of the inside, the right of the letter, and that's not a vowel. That's something to teach you how to say it, or some kind of accent, which we'll learn way down the line. So that's why I'm making sure that they're never found on the inside, and they're never found on that immediate right side either. So the right side of the page is totally not a vowel area. Is that a better way to say it? Okay, so
yes, like shin.
Yeah. So that exactly, shin and sin is a kind of different kind of thing, and we're actually going to talk about them not today, probably next week, but exactly. So it's not a vowel, but it's there because it signals something important for how you pronounce the word. So exactly. Okay, now we are talking about vowel holders and vowel helper letters. Okay. And so we have the aleph right here. So I don't know if you guys can see my cursor. It always does that. Sorry. Here's my cursor. There you go. The aleph is always a holder. Okay. It's not a helper. It's always a holder, meaning that you'll find a vowel underneath. You could find it on the side, not normally, or you could find it on top, but you're never going to find it on these others. But there's always going to be a vowel somewhere. Okay. Ayin is the same thing. It's always a vowel holder. And that means we're never going to pronounce the ayin. We're never going to say a, even though we say aleph is the name. Aleph is just, going to be nothing. And I'm going to leave it at that. There's exceptions to everything, but we're not at this exception yet. Now, ayin is the same way. You need to find a vowel. If you see an aleph or you see an ayin, you're looking for a vowel because you don't know what to pronounce if you can't see that vowel. Okay. Now we have the helpers and the sometimes holders and sometimes helpers. So vav is one of those where sometimes it's a vowel holder, meaning sometimes you need to find if there's an O here or an U here, olam or a sharuk. So sometimes it's going to be just a vowel where you don't say anything. Remember, we showed you right here. Here's the vav right here, and it doesn't say anything. It's just that vowel. Whereas right here, it may be a V sound, or it may be just the sound of the vowel. That is going to be some different, I'll have some different hints to help you learn which way it is. And don't worry about that as much because honestly, it becomes intuitive after a while. The yod is sometimes a helper. So like the vav was sometimes a holder, you could pronounce it sometimes, and sometimes you don't. The yod is sometimes a helper. So that means that sometimes it adds to a vowel. And we're going to talk about the gooey, chewy. They're basically Hebrew, what we call diphthongs. And you can think about it as AI, but not the AI, the AI robot AI, just the AI sound together. But sometimes it can be just a Y sound, the yod sound, and sometimes it's a helper. So these are the vowel holders and the vowel helpers. So these charts that I'm giving you on this spreadsheet are good charts that if you are a chart person and like to refer back to stuff, these are the things that you might want to look at. Okay, again, I know this chart sometimes isn't that helpful for some people, but it really does pinpoint if you're learning your vowels, what vowels what. So for instance, all the sounds, if you have a vowel and it has a horizontal line in it, so whether it has a horizontal line like this, the T shape, which is kamatz, or it has a patak, or as I do, if it has the two dots, this is my signal for hataf patak. So it doesn't matter. If it's an A vowel, it has a horizontal line in it. So if you don't know what vowel it is, if you get, and you see that horizontal line, if you give me any A sound, chances are you are going to be 95% there. Okay, the same thing with the next set of vowels, the EH vowels. Again, it's a series of stacked dots. And the reason why I say that is because EH vowels always have a friend. Okay, there's either two dots, that's Sari. Okay, there's three dots, which is Sagol. It's hard to do this with my fingers. Or it's the 3 + 2 + 5 rule, which is 3 dots together with 2 dots equals 5 dots. So if you need an EH sound, they're always going to be stacked dots, and they're always going to be underneath the letter as well. AH vowels are always under the letter, and EH vowels are always under the letter as well. The EE vowels, or sometimes I vowels, it's only going to be one dot. So if you see one dot, then now you have to make decisions. Is it an E or is it an O? Now, the way I teach the kids, and you've heard me say this a million times, if it's an E, like a mouse sitting on the floor underneath your chair, and you're going to scream E, if it's below, it's an E. If it's O, like overhead, it's going to be over the letter. Okay, so that's your E, H, E vowels, and O vowels. So that's a good way. If you don't know the vowel, check. Is it a horizontal line? Then it's always A's. It's an A sound. Is it an EH? Is it a stacked dots? Then it's going to be your eggs in a basket or sound. Is it a single dot? Well, then you got decisions to make. Okay. So this is a great chart, especially if you're having a hard time with vowels. At least I thought it was helpful. But okay, so let's take a look at these again. Okay, again, some vowels are holders, like I said, and never make a sound. Some are vowel holders as well, but they do make a sound. And this is the illustration of what I did. So maybe you just like this one. Some vowel letter helpers, sometimes they make a sound and sometimes they change the sound. So for instance, that Y will change something from a to an I, like AY, like I captain. Okay. Again, there's vowel marks over the letter. O is over the letter. E is that mouse, that E underneath the letter. A is under, and the EH is under. Okay, there are some middle ones, oo and O. So we didn't discuss oo a lot. So this is a good chart where you can find your letters, okay? And these are the basics, but let's go to the next. Okay, here's the official chart. This is in the Google Classroom. I have a couple official charts that I'm giving you, including one that one of the other classmates made up. I don't know. I don't think he's still taking classes, but he just made it up to help him. And so it's pretty correct, but whichever chart works for you. I find that people usually the first few months need a vowel chart. So again, here's our A block right here, okay? And just so you know, you can't read it yet, but if we look at patak, patak is written up here in Hebrew, and that's the name of the vowel. So, and it says it right here, patak, patak. So patak, kamatz, hataf, kamatz, and hataf, patak are all vowels. And now I want to remind you, in the beginning, all I want you to remember about the hataf, patak, and the hataf, kamatz is that means half, okay? Hataf means half. And so it's half of a patak or half of a kamatz. So if somebody says to you, give me half of an A, okay, and you say the word A, and they say, give me half of an A, what are you going to say? Right? You're going to say a short or something, right? Like we have cat or bat, right? Bat is a shorter A. The same thing right here with the sari, that's an E, okay? So we have a sari, that's an E sound. A sagol is an E sound. The sharik is an E, that's that higher, I like to say the higher E, the mouse E, and the hataf sagol. So again, these are E sounds. They're stacked dots, right? These three are stacked dots. This E is that special EE, like I said. So these are stacked dots, sideways, or an eggs in a basket, or this. The hataf sagol is the same thing. If I say, I need you to do a half of an E sound, it would be instead of bay, right? It'd be be, right? It'd just be a short one. This sharik would be, this is a dot, it's more of an E or a really fast EE, okay? We have our shava, which we'll talk about again, but our shava can be spoken or pronounced, and our shava can be silent, okay? For those of you who are reviewing, we already talked about this. For those of you who are not reviewing, we actually, I think next week are going to go into what we call shava, if there's a technical term, shavana or shavanak, and we will go into that. Just all it means is the shava you pronounce and the shava you don't. And I have some helpful tips to say, hey, when do you pronounce this and when do you not? So you don't even have to like guess. Do I say the little F or do I not? Again, we have the kibbutz right here. Think of it, I think of it as I always think of it as if you're falling down the stairs and you're going, ooh. Or some people think of it as the kibbutz in a choo-choo train, choo, 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 choo. But I'm always careful about that one because I don't want you to think of the ooh, 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 you know, like the You know, I don't want you to think of the chew. I want you to think of the ooh sound, just the vowel. We have the holum vav up here, or the holum. So one just has the helper and one doesn't. And then down below, we have what's called the shuruk. And that is the one where if someone threw a ball at your stomach, you'd be like, ooh, it's that ooh, that tight ooh. If you were trying to catch a ball or something and you didn't expect it. So it's that quick ooh. So those are the vowels. Does anybody have any questions about these vowels? Okay. I'm going to go on. Okay. So I guess I did put a little Shiva in here. I have more, but okay. So the Shiva can sometimes be pronounced and sometimes not. When it's not pronounced again, okay, you don't say anything. It's a syllable breaker, and we'll talk about that later. When it is pronounced, it is just enough of the EH sound or the E sound to make the word work. And I'm going to explain again. I'm going to use the word via hafta or vahafta, okay? That is the word V. And then there's a Shiva underneath it, and then there's the rest of the word, okay? In English, it's very hard, or for anyone, it's very hard to say v ahafta, right? V, the straight v with no vowel or not. So you pronounce just enough of the E sound to make the word work. And that's how you're going to think about that, okay? If it is a not, like if it's a silent, here's Shevanak is the silent, okay? But if it's the silent one, then it also is considered a syllable breaker. And the new syllable starts the letter after the Shiva. And that's going to be important to know later. So this is another kind of couple rules you might want to write down if you have a rules notebook or a portion of your notes that you put the rules in. Because when we start to syllable break words, you will see that you need to know if there's a Shiva or not, and you need to know where the syllables break. Again, the technical term, if somebody wants to know, Shiva nak is the silent, and it's most often the Shiva at the beginning of the word, or most often the Shiva at the beginning of the word is vocal, and I don't know why I wrote it this way, and most often the Shiva at the end of the word or in the middle of the word is silent. Okay, there's way more to do with these, so I actually might take this off because that's going to confuse you later. I don't know why I wrote it that way. Here's the chart of your of one of the classmates, so I didn't think he'd mind if I used it. Here's the family, okay? And the reason why this Hataf Kamatz is underneath there is because there is an exception later. Here's the EE, the short Hirik, the short Hirik Yo, and the Shiva. So this is great. Here's your O family, your Olam or your Olam Vav. And then here's your U, your Sharuk, U in the middle, that's a Vav too. And your Kibbutz, U, okay? And then here's your EH sounds. The only thing that I would take off here is probably the Shiva here, if you have it here. So it can only live in one of these places. So Sari's long E, Sagol, Hataf Sagol is very short. So that's another chart for you. Whichever chart you like, go ahead and use that chart and get really familiar with it so that when you're not sure, you can take a look. Okay, that is the adult charts. Now, this is a kid's chart. And the reason why I do it is because there's two new developments at the bottom of how they're teaching kids today. So they're doing it by letters. So aqua, aqua. The color is also how you make the sound. So is like aqua, okay? E is like green, E, okay? O is like the O in yellow, and those are all your O's. Now, just so you notice, look at here. We have two A vowels. We have the Hataf Kamatz and the Kamatz, and those are two exceptions that we'll talk about later, but they put them all in there, okay? we have the E as in gray, A, okay? So they split the EH out from the red, and the seri, they split it out. They have one there and one there. So their new chart is actually being more specific. So if you want to be specific, here you go. I usually don't teach it this way to adults till a little bit later on, but that's okay. We have the oo as in blue. The shava again has no sound. So there's nothing there. It just makes the sound of the letter. And we've added two new ones, the av, like an avocado. And these are ending combinations, av right here. And then we have the I in violet. So I, that's the AI that I mentioned, not the AI robot, but the AI, just the sound, and I. So we have rub. I had a Thai word and I just lost it. If you manage, we have a word that ends in the ending Thai, T-A-I. It would be if we did it in translate, and this would be the T. It'd actually be T-A-Y. It's not Tay here; it's Thai in Hebrew. So this is a more accurate color chart, and it has two of the new ending combinations that we never used to call these vowel combinations, but we do now. Okay, so there you go. That one's more specific. Okay, now I'm not going to get into these huge, but here is your chart. Here's your av right here. We just talked about the av, but there's ooey. This is where I get the ooey gooey chewy. Here's ooey, and here's the oi, the I, the AI, and the AI. So these are just Hebrew diphthongs. And I just wanted you to have this so then when we hit it, you'll know that, oh yeah, I saw it. I remember. Let me go back and see. So there's your diphthongs that I just, like I said, don't worry about this. I just want to show you that there was a family of these that they had separately like this. And now when we teach kids, we're starting to put them into the avocado and the violet. So, okay. Week 1, we started vocabulary. So I don't know how important vocabulary is to you right now, but I thought it wouldn't hurt to start. And so I just kind of gave you some words, and we're actually going to work with the words. But I didn't know if you guys wanted me to read the words at the end or if you wanted me to read them now before we go on. Does anyone have an opinion?
Oh, that'd be great if you could read it.
Okay.
Like to get the pronunciation.
Yep, that's what I thought. So there we go. Okay. So we have father, which is av. Okay. We have one, which is echad. Okay. We have I, which is ani. Okay. And you're seeing one of those vowel combinations. We have you, which is ata. Now, I do want to stop. This is the masculine list. Next time I can give you the feminine list or I can give you a whole new list. So we have to determine that. Okay, this is who. So you notice that this is a big word for two sounds, who, and it can mean he or it, who. Okay, zay is this. So zay. Yisrael is Yisrael. So notice it's not a sh, it's a sa. So Yisrael, and you see this is a syllable blocker. And Melech is king. Now, I encourage you, learn the word Melech. M or M sound, L sound, final D sound. That's a dalid, or not a dalid. Final cough, mem, lamed, cough. Let's work on Hebrew here, guys, right? And Segol, and that is a Shabbat. We'll learn that later. But the 3 letters, mem, lamed, kaf, are used a lot in teaching Hebrew. And so learn that word right away because you're going to see it a lot. Okay. Moshe. So we've got our name here. We know who Moshe is, and we have Okay. So we can already say one sentence you from these letter words right here. Israel, and you put that together. It's the nation of Israel, and in Israel, that means like we are a nation. So we actually can make a sort of small sentence out of what we have. So we are going to work with this vocabulary. I'm going to try to continue to use the vocabulary as you'll see when I teach you. So that will help as well. But I'm going to be honest with you. If you want to learn vocabulary, the only way you are going to remember it is if you look at it every day. So if this is a page and you want to remember these letters, if you print out this page and cut it out and just look at it for a few minutes every day, sometime, tape it to your window when you're brushing your mirror when you're brushing your teeth, whatever. If you don't look at it every day, you will not remember it, because I can't tell you how much vocabulary I knew and now I don't. And it's just because I forgot. Okay, now this was not a popular chart last time. We're going to start to read words, but I have to tell you how to read the words. And I did go through this. So I found some other things after this, but this has everything on one chart. Okay. And you read from right to left, we know that, but you also read on a zigzag. So we have this word over to the left, which is gadol, okay? But we don't know how to read that. And the way we read in English is not the same way we read in Hebrew. So where are we going to split the word? So we could say God-ol, right? That might be perfect. We could say gadol, okay? I don't know how else we would break it up, but we could break it up different ways. So we need to figure out how to do this, okay? The first thing that you want to do, okay, is you want to count how many vowels you have, okay? How many vowels do we have? We have how many? We have 2 vowels in this word, okay? So when we have 2 vowels in the word, we know we have to have 2 syllables, okay? So we start here. And remember I told you there's never a vowel when you start? That is because we always start here. So we know we have the letter gimel, which makes the G sound, okay? And we have the kamatz, which makes the ah sound. So our first sounds are ga, okay? Now, the other thing that you need to know, and we will learn this more, is that there's 2, we're going to talk about it. There's 2 things that it can be, a consonant vowel or a consonant vowel consonant. And so I'm just going to tell you right now, in order to break this rule up, we have a consonant vowel, and now the end of the word is a consonant vowel consonant, because Hebrew likes to end, excuse me, sorry. Here, can you talk? No. Hebrew likes to always end their words in a consonant vowel consonant. So we have ga is our first sound, and then we have da, that's our next sound. We have o, this sound, and l, which is la. So ga is our first, then do. Okay. That's the overview. This is the chart that has everything on one page. But let's break this down to make it easier, because I know this was confusing for some people. Okay, zigzag reading. And let's start with little words, okay? So here we go. Here's our word. We start at the top, because that's where we always start when we read. We have the sound M, right? Can everyone see this? We have the little in parentheses. It makes the sound, right? And then we have our vowel underneath it, which is an E sound, okay? So we put it together, and we have me, okay? Me. So that's our zigzag. That's as far as we got. Now let's try another one on this side, okay? We start with our me, our M sound, for our mem, and then we go underneath, and we know that we have a little dot there, so it's like the mouse, so it's E. And then we zigzag up to what's next. Okay. And what's up to the next is a yod. Okay. There's nothing by the yod. There's no vowel over the yod. There's no whatever. So we know the yod has to stay. It's connected to this. Do we have a vowel that has a dot and a yod? Okay. Well, we do, don't we? We have a vowel that has where'd it go? A dot and a yod. It's in green, so it makes the E sound. That's how these charts work. If you don't know the vowel, you go back to the chart and you look. So we know that's an E, right? So now when we're doing our thing, we know we have me right here. That's our zigzag reading, okay? Well, we just did a word fragment, okay? Let's do a complete word. So this is consonant, vowel, consonant, vowel. This is consonant, vowel. Oh, now we have more. So again, we start with that M sound at the top. Underneath, now we have a horizontal line, and we know any vowel that has a horizontal line in it is an A sound. So that's ma. Okay, now we look to the next letter. There's a T sound here, but are there any vowels? Nope, no vowels or anything near it. So we know that that is our word. So ma, a, t. So we put those together and we have the word mat or mot, whatever. That is zigzag reading. So before I go on, I just want to make sure, does anybody have any questions about zigzag reading? Okay. Okay, because that's what we need to read our words. Okay, now, we just talked about syllables open and closed, okay? Don't get too in the weeds about this because it's once we start reading, you're going to hear me say all the time in front of a word, is it a consonant vowel? Is it a consonant vowel consonant? And very rarely we're going to talk about consonant vowel consonant consonant. So don't worry, but I want to let you know that unlike English and some other words, there are never two consonants together. I can't even think of one example of two consonants together, except for this exception at the end of a word. So if you, in English, if you have the word the, it'd be THE. That will never happen in Hebrew. It's only consonant, vowel, consonant, or consonant, vowel. So that's kind of why I'm telling you this information, so that when we're breaking down a word and trying to figure out how to read it, you know that you got to take it by little chunks at a time. And again, as I mentioned the first a few slides ago, the number of vowels in a word determines the numbers of syllables. If you have a really long word, you're going to have many syllables or many vowels, because you need to have, for every, at the most, 3 letters, you need to have a vowel. So if you're not sure, this doesn't look right, is one of those letters a vowel helper? Is one of those letters a vowel holder? Just we know that we're going to deal with consonant, vowel, consonant, vowel, consonant. And the longer the word is, if you break it down in this way, the easier it is to understand, because it's always in these chunks. And I, even with the Monday night early class, I keep going back to, a lot of times I'll say, okay, let's go to the end. Where's the consonant, vowel, consonant? Oh, nope, it can't be this, because it has to be a consonant, vowel, consonant, or has to be a consonant, vowel. We will continue to do that until we know the word by heart and we don't need that help anymore. So that's a good reference for you in the beginning. Okay, so let's look. So again, breaking it down again. And I hope you guys, if this is too fast or too slow, I apologize, just let me know. So every syllable must begin with one consonant and have only one vowel, okay? So this word av means father, okay? Also, just so you know, in Israel, it's Avi is now a Hebrew standard name for men. So although Avi can also be my father, or I am a father, depending on how we're looking at it. Avi in Israel can just be a guy's name. So in fact, my husband's name is Avi. His Hebrew name is Avi. But we have one syllable, okay? We have one syllable here, one syllable word, because we only have one consonant, one vowel, and one consonant. Now, you're like, Madison, wait a minute. This is Aleph. Aleph is silent. But that's why we have Aleph, because we can't start any word with an A sound unless we have something to put in front of it. So now when you think, why did Hebrew have all these weird silent letters? Because sometimes we need a vowel there and we need something to hold it. As well as the fact that, in the old days, they did what they did, and we don't necessarily need to know exactly why they did it. But so here we have Av. So here's Av, and that means father. Now, Av is a vowel holder. It doesn't matter, though. It is still a consonant. Okay, it still counts like a regular consonant. And then we have the word who here. So who starts with a hey. Okay, so we have the H, the h sound. And then we have the vowel holder, oo. Okay, so we have a consonant. Okay, we have a vowel holder. So this counts as a vowel. Okay, but we have to end the word. We usually like to have all our words in Hebrew be consonant, vowel, consonant. So at the end of the word, I'm showing you an example. At the end of the word, you have a letter with no vowel. So this is one letter right here. So these are some great exceptions. So each consonant must have one corresponding vowel, okay? The only time a consonant can stand alone is if it's closing a syllable. So Av is closing the syllable. This vet is closing the syllable. This Aleph is closing the syllable. So it has no letter or vowel underneath it, so when your section, when your syllable, or when your word ends. If there is no vowel that goes with the letter is a consonant rather than a vowel. Exactly right here. So here we go. If there's no, okay, right here, sorry. If there's no vowel that, oh my gosh, guys, I'm getting tired, sorry. If there's no vowel that goes with a letter, the letter is a consonant rather than a vowel. And that's why I picked who. There's no vowel that goes with it. So Aleph has to be a consonant. It's just a silent one. That's why it takes one of the rare times where it takes more letters in Hebrew to say something than it does in English. Normally, Hebrew always beats English in its efficiency. But who, you need these to have the paradigm, okay? Hebrew does not allow, again, for two consonants to be placed together. Okay, so
sorry, yep. I'm trying to make sure I understand that one. So because it ends, so it has to end in a vowel, you're saying?
No, a word, okay, if it's, okay, and that's another good question. I didn't break it out this way. You'll see it next, but actually that's maybe, okay, here's a better way.
Oh, okay. Sorry, yeah, so it's not ending in a vowel, but it was, yeah.
Right. So when you have a consonant vowel, okay, those are usually at the beginning of the word. Open syllables usually come in the middle or at the beginning of the words. So we have this word, it's called bara. It's in the first line of the Bible. I think it's Baruch bara Elohim, and God created. It's ba-ra. So you see we have an open syllable right here. We have a ba. And then here we have a consonant, the R sound. We have that another A sound. But you can't end a word. You can't end a word usually in a vowel. You can't have open syllables like that. So we needed a consonant to end that word. So in order to do it, we use that Aleph. Is that the question you were asking?
Yes, yeah, why the aleph would go there
Yeah.
in some words and not others. So okay,
Because especially think about it, if you're writing without punctuation or you're writing without spaces or paragraphs, right? You really want to make sure that your people know when a word ends. And except for a few exceptions, you need a clue. And in Hebrew, the clue that you're giving you is that, in fact, I'll teach you to decode later on as the words get bigger by finding where's the end of your word, cutting off one point, finding what the middle piece of the word is, and finding the front. I'll show. In fact, I'll show you a little picture quick, and I'll tell you how to divide the word up so you know what's left. And the big clue here is where's the last consonant, vowel, consonant. And so that's going to tell you kind of how many opens you have in front. It's really going to make a difference. So that's why this is important to know. This is the open syllable, consonant, vowel, and consonant, vowel, consonant. Now, when you start to learn words, bara, you're going to find that it goes easier. Because I'm going to walk you through it and I'm going to say it all the time. In fact, sometimes if I have you print something out, I'm going to tell you to draw a line. Draw a line between this letter and this letter. And I'll show you how we do the syllable break. So look for the corresponding consonant and its vowel, okay? Is the next letter another consonant with the vowel? So we're going to look to the next letter. Okay, there's a consonant with a vowel. Yes. Okay. Well, then I have to make my syllable division just like this after the end of that first syllable. So that's how we know it's a consonant vowel. Okay. Now we have consonant, we have vowel, and we have another consonant. So this should be CVC. Sorry, I don't know why. Sometimes I have to cut and paste things because I can't get the chart to look exactly. And so you just need to know that we want to end those at the end, the exact as much as we can with a consonant. Okay. It'll make more sense, I promise you. Okay. Closed symbols, we have these words and right? So here's our ion, it's silent. We needed that. We can't start with an A. So we have and that's people, right? Or nation. And so we're looking for the consonant. We have a vowel. The next letter just is a consonant without a vowel. We know we have consonant, vowel, consonant, okay? And that's our final mem there. So it's the end of the word. So it's also telling us that it's the end of the word. Okay, we have the word ze. So ze again means this. We just learned this. And again, we have the consonant. It has a vowel underneath it. The next letter does not have a vowel. So that's the whole word, ze. All set. Okay. I wanted to do a little bit of fragments, so we'll come back to this. So I promise you we're going to come breaking into words to syllable, but let me just show you one example. Here's gadol. Here's how we break it. Okay. And here is tovot, which means good, pleasant, agreeable. In fact, if you say besarot tovot, it means may we hear only good news. So if someone says, I'm going in for a job interview, you can say, besarot tovot, and that means you're blessing or saying to them, we hope we only hear good news that you got the job. So, but you see how the to is consonant with the vowel holder. So it's consonant vowel, and then it's consonant vowel consonant. Okay. Okay. I shortchanged you because I didn't go fast enough. So I want to read one line, and we're going to do this next week, but I want to read one line so you get it. So line 1, these are word fragments, okay? And then we'll go back over this, and then what we will do is we will then start with 3-letter words. So in fact, we have one here. So it's av, ad, ag, az, bat, bach, ba, ba, abba, which is the traditional way in the Torah of saying father, abba, father. Okay, so these are the word fragments, and we're going to have I have enough lines for everybody. And we're going to have drills like this where we go through and reread the fragments. Unfortunately, I shortchanged you today. But this is really important for starting to read. And some of these are consonant, vowel, consonants, and some of these are consonant vowels. So, okay. I will also help you split words up. We're going to talk about, and this was going to be the next week anyway, how we start to split up longer words. Okay. Yeah, let me see if I had one more thing. Okay. And this is what I was going to show you. So the last thing I wanted to say is it doesn't make any sense now, but it will, because there's what we call, I call it the prefix in the beginning. There's different words. And be careful where you go to look quick too. I'll end in 2 minutes. I'm sorry, I'm running late. There's more complicated words like you'll hear protonic, protonic. Just be careful with that right now. It kind of gets complicated, but I'm just telling you, you will learn how to break up the word. The end of this word means this. This means this. This means this. What's the prefix? What's the core of the word? And what's the infix? And that's how we're going to teach you, so that it makes it easier to not only pronounce big words, but it makes you easier for you to understand what the word means. So maybe you don't know what the whole word means, but maybe you know that this ending means that we're talking about this group or this parts of people. I think that is it. Yeah, that's all we're going to do today. Okay, let me stop sharing quick. Let me go back to here. Okay. And let me stop recording quick.